Good morning. Welcome to the CalCAP Lender Roundtable. My name is Doreen Smith, and I am one of the CalCAP managers here at CPCFA. With us today, we have Sheila Tobias Daniel, CPCFA's Executive Director, Christina Saran, the Deputy Executive Director, Allison French-Tubo, our Outreach Manager, and the CalCAP team. We also welcome our colleagues from the Air Resources Board and the Energy Commission. And first up, Sheila will say a few words. Sheila.
Thank you, Doreen. Good morning. I would like to welcome you to this Lender Roundtable. We're so happy to have you join us this morning for this very important event. Your participation is truly appreciated. And for those of you who may not know, I'm fairly new to the Executive Director role for CPCFA, having joined the authority in October of 2021. When I took this position, one of the things that drew me to CPCFA was the number of impressive programs dedicated to helping California businesses. And we are particularly proud of our California Capital Access Program, or CalCAP, and the role it plays in supporting loans made to small businesses to assist them in starting, growing, or maintaining their businesses. The model is that of a loan loss reserve program. And our truck loan assistance program is modeled after the CalCAP for Small Business program. And we partner with a California agency, California Air Resources Board, to support loans that can be used to finance heavy-duty trucks to comply with truck and bus regulations. Now, this has proven to be a popular and successful program, resulting in tens of thousands of cleaner trucks on the road, providing hardworking truck owners an affordable way to reduce emissions, increase fuel efficiency, and save money. The program just had the largest year ever in terms of loan volume, and this is thanks to an incredible network of lending partners who understand the value of offering this financing option to their customers to help get cleaner vehicles on the road. We are excited at the possibility to continue to be involved with providing assistance and support as SB 372 expands regulations to include the medium and heavy-duty fleet purchasing assistance programs for zero-emission vehicles. Who better to give us insight than subject matter experts such as yourselves that work closely with borrowers and understand the complexities of their business needs? I encourage you this morning to use this opportunity to share lessons learned and be frank about what has worked and what has not. We are looking to you to provide feedback that will help us implement beneficial programs that will better meet the business needs of the borrower. So again, welcome.
Thank you, Sheila. Now, as Sheila stated, we're here today to discuss Senate Bill 372 and to receive lender input regarding the implementation of a pilot program to finance the purchase of medium and heavy-duty zero-emission fleet vehicles. So we do encourage and appreciate your participation, and we have allocated 1 hour for today's discussion. So today's agenda, we had introductions, we have CARB proposed funding and pilot program, the current truck program, Senate Bill 372 overview, discussion topics regarding zero emission financing, lender input, questions, and next steps. Today we'll be discussing the CARB proposed funding and seeking lender input regarding the pilot program. CARB is proposing allocating $10 million for the new zero-emission truck pilot program. They will be coordinating with the Energy Commission on infrastructure financing, and they also will continue to allocate funding to the current CalCAP CARB truck program through 2023. Now, CARB is moving towards zero-emission vehicles, and funding available for the current heavy-duty CalCAP CARB program will come to an end at some time. But CARB does acknowledge that there are diesel vehicles that will need to comply with CARB's truck and bus regulations, and they would like to prioritize funding for these vehicles under the current program. So do any of you have ideas on how to prioritize these fleet owners while we still have funding for the current program? Please use the raise hand feature if you would like to speak.
Hi, this is Howard Schiebler. Can you hear me?
Yes, go ahead, Howard.
Hi there. Good morning. I'm with Crossroads, and I wonder if you could clarify your question because I'm not. Could you speak maybe for a moment about the $10 million program and repeat your question?
Oh, well, we're going to talk about the pilot $10 million program in a moment, but first, what my question is regarding the current truck program and the funds for that, because CARB anticipates they'll have funding for financing these diesel trucks that need to meet truck and bus regulations through 2023, but they don't anticipate much funding from CARB to be used after that time. So they're wondering if there's a way we could prioritize getting these fleet owners who need to meet these regulations, prioritize them being financed with that money before it runs out, like through 2023. Right.
So I guess one comment I would have is, it's going to be a while before there are zero emission truck production that can fill the needs that exist in the market. Aside from all the headwinds that we'll ultimately talk about here of just the economics, the infrastructure charging and so on, it's going to take a while. And, the newer trucks that are out there, like 2016 Forward trucks, are certainly more fuel efficient, cleaner burning trucks. There's a lot of natural gas trucks out there. So I guess a suggestion is to figure out how to extend the duration supporting continuing improvement on diesel funding while the capacity and the other problems are being solved in the in the zero emission world.
Okay, thank you. Good point. Anybody else? Okay. Okay, so just to recap about the current CalCAP CARB truck program, the Air Resources Board and CalCAP have collaborated since 2009, operating the Heavy Duty Vehicle Air Quality Loan Program. And as of December 31st, 2021, CARB has allocated over $215 million to the program. And as of April 30th, 2022, over 36,000 loans have been enrolled in the program, loans totaling over $2.5 billion and contributions of over $22 million made to the loan loss reserve accounts. But the need for the development of the Zero Emission Truck Pilot Program is in response to Senate Bill 372. This bill was approved by Governor Newsom on October 7th, 2021, and it establishes the Medium and Heavy Duty Zero Emission Vehicle Fleet Purchasing Assistance Program within the Air Quality Improvement Program. The goal is to make financing tools and non-financial supports available to operators of medium and heavy-duty vehicle fleets to enable those operators to transition their fleets to zero-emission vehicles. Based on the feedback that CPCFA and CARB have already received, we've identified some of the questions and concerns regarding financing these zero-emission fleets. We'll go through these issues on the following slides. And in order to develop a pilot program that will encourage CalCAP lenders to finance zero-emission trucks and to continue participating in CalCAP, we would like to discuss ideas and information that you have that will make this a successful program. So when you would like to comment, please use the raise hand icon and we will unmute you to speak. And if you do not have audio, you may use the chat box option to comment, and a member of our team will respond. Thank you. The current CalCAP truck loan program allows for the financing of qualified trucks. But due to the response received so far, the proposed zero-emission pilot program will be a loan package that includes financing of the truck and the related infrastructure. And the California Energy Commission will be involved in the financing of the infrastructure. So there will be a collaboration between CalCAP, CARB, and the Energy Commission in getting this pilot going. So questions are, what else could be included in a loan package besides the infrastructure that may lower the financing risk? Some ideas were possibly an insurance policy or something else to include in the loan. So we're seeking any input that you have here. Okay.
Hi,
Howard.
this is Howard.
Oh, Howard, okay. Go ahead, Howard.
Can I assume that in this program that these vehicles would also be CalCAP eligible, or has that not been considered yet?
We're assuming they would be CalCAP eligible, yes.
Got it. So one idea might be to widen CalCAP eligibility to slightly larger fleets if they're zero emission trucks. So right now it's only 10-unit fleets, but there are other larger fleets, like under the grant program, I think they can be 20-unit fleets, for example. So you might consider widening CalCAP for just zero emissions.
Okay. Anybody else? Nothing. Okay, thank you, Howard. Okay, and you just led us into current fleet size and business cap under the CalCAP program. So as stated, currently to enroll in the CalCAP CARB truck program, the fleet size must be 10 or fewer. The company must be 100 employees or fewer with an annual revenue of $10 million or less. So Howard stated that he does think the zero emission pilot program should be expanded to larger fleets, and that is one of our questions here. Should it be larger, and if so, why? Does anyone else have input on this? Okay, go ahead, Rochelle.
Yep. Hi there. This is Rochelle from PACCAR Financial. I would agree with Howard's comments, and I know in last week's session, which was the broader discussion, there was some thoughts of whether it's 20 or 30, right? Kind of trying to find that right mix. And I think it is probably somewhere in there. The other thing I think we might want to think about is it really truly the revenue cap? Because you could have some companies who maybe are less in the trucking industry, right? They have higher revenues than what would normally qualify because they're in another industry, but still trying to push that forward. Maybe it's not as much about revenue cap and it is more about the fleet size.
Okay, good point. Thank you. Anybody else? No? Okay, thank you for that. Okay, in addition to the CalCAP and CARB truck loan program, CARB does have other programs that are available to truck owners, such as their HVIP program, their small e-fleets pilot program. And CARB wanted to let you know that if a fleet applies and is granted funding, a voucher would be issued, and so if they qualify for these programs, it could help reduce the overall cost of the truck, so they could stack these with a loan program. And then the Energy Commission also has a program called Energize, which provides infrastructure incentives for zero-emission commercial vehicles. And we're happy to provide more information on these programs in a follow-up email or in the chat if anyone is interested. But we're wondering if there are other models or other financing mechanisms that you believe would help encourage the private investment in these zero-emission vehicles. Okay. So then, those were the key topics we had based on comments previously received. But at this point, we're open to any additional questions or comments you have. And in addition, we would really appreciate if you think of things after the fact, if you would like to submit written comments, we would really appreciate that, and we would like them submitted to us by May 16th, which is a pretty short turnaround, but we're trying to get this pilot program a little more solidified. So at this time, any questions, comments, insight? Oh, okay. The first program, there's a question about the first program I mentioned from CARB, and it is called their HVIP program. Oh, okay. Someone has commented to perhaps look into increasing the allowable interest rate on the loans. Okay, thank you for that comment. We'll put that down on the list. Okay, so the website for this HVIP program is CaliforniaHVIP.org, O-R-G. So if you would like to look that up. And, oh, okay, we made the note about looking into possibly increasing the allowable interest rate on the loans. Yes, someone asked if there will be a recording available after this, and yes, there will be. Will allow for financing more C and D credits. That's also something we can look into. Oh. Okay. 1 second, Howard. Okay, go ahead, Howard. You're unmuted.
Hi, sorry to be consuming so much, but I just wanted to share the ideas if nobody else wanted to contribute at this point. I think the overall economics of zero emission trucks are still challenging. And I think you have some of the right elements to try and provide support like HVIP. One of the hidden kind of cost disadvantages is that a lot of the buyers are very concerned about what their investment in this truck is going to be worth in 3, 4, 5 years as the technology for electric trucks gets better. And so I think we really need to focus on the combination of substantive HVIP combined with CalCAP support, so that those lenders that are looking to lend money against these trucks can make some type of reasonable assumption of value, less the reserve benefit that they get from CalCAP. I think there's lots of folks that believe, you know, the first generation of electric trucks are not going to be worth a lot of money in 4 or 5 years, because there'll be much better generations of that available at that point in time. And I think that whole technology obsolescence was experienced a little bit in the natural gas truck evolution. That's improved now, but we're likely to experience it in electric. And so the economic question of, you know, does it really make it economic sense for a port operator, for example, to use an electric truck where you'd really like them to be using, I think has to be answered. And I guess one suggestion might be to put a few folks together that have knowledge of the pieces and try and understand that economic well enough so that you have the right amount of vouchers and incentives. Because I think there's still a big gap.
Okay.
And
go ahead.
And one other point is that the point made about electric trucks for non kind of port operating tractors for other businesses that might be interested in electric investment. I think it's a really good one, because those are the companies that also have other motivations to invest in electric. Like they might have some goals to try and move towards a greener fleet. And it doesn't feel like this pilot is directed towards them, but I wonder if any of the, you know, early buyers, early adopters, if we have any information available on who those have been. Like I know in the medium duty market, if you run an electric truck, for example, if you're hauling bread where it doesn't weigh that much, it makes for a good electric truck because it has a lot of volume, it's not that heavy, and you're not running long distances. And I'm wondering if there's good target industries that have been early adopters in electric that it wouldn't make sense for us to better understand, so that you might be able to customize, you know, either this pilot or other programs towards those borrowers to help them out a little bit more, because it's going to be the early adopters that are going to be putting in place the infrastructure and really driving this forward. Thank you for the time.
Thank you, Howard. Very good points. Are you able to share that with the audience? Oh, we did. Okay. Okay, we do have a question. Would CARB be willing to give a credit enhancement to a dealership versus creating a pooled reserve? This would reduce the amount financed and forces the dealers to maintain to keep costs down, focus on the manufacturing cost being reduced. Okay, there's also a question if any of the lenders would be interested. CARB wants to know if lenders would be interested in doing infrastructure only loans, or if you'd want to have trucks involved in any loans. Okay, well, regarding the comment or question about the CARB incentives, we'll follow up with CARB and keep that in our conversation as we go forward. Okay, so the next steps, as many of you know and were involved in, CARB hosts workshops regarding its funding plans, and the second funding plan workshop will be coming up on July 21st, and prior to the workshop, a draft funding plan with preliminary recommendations will be released, And you're invited to attend this workshop if you would like, so we can, as it gets closer, we can provide the details for that. And then CARB anticipates that the proposed funding plan will be released in October with board consideration in November. And these are all tentative dates, but that's the current plan. And then after this, CalCAP, along with the Air Resources Board and the Energy Commission, will continue having discussions together and with the lenders and all other stakeholders as this pilot program is developed. So again, we are also requesting any written comments, anything you think of after this fact or after today, or if someone else brought up a question or a comment that sparks something additional in what you can provide to us, we would appreciate written comments and be submitted to us by May 16th. And then the comments will be used by CalCAP, CARB, and the Energy Commission to assist in developing this pilot program for the financing of zero-emission vehicles. Oh, Jessica, if you would like to speak, you need to unmute yourself on your end.
Thank you. I was waiting to be called on. I didn't want to interrupt the flow of the convo here. Is now a good time to ask some questions?
Yes, this is Jessica Johnson from the Air Resources Board, everyone.
Hi, everybody. I oversee our current truck loan assistance program within CARB, and I'm working with my staff in CPCFA and CEC to develop the zero emission truck loan pilot program that we have been discussing today. So I'm really glad to hear, Howard, your comments and some of the other comments that people have put in the chat. And we'd welcome any other input you have, as Doreen has mentioned, if not today, then by the 16th. A couple questions I wanted to make sure to articulate. I'm not sure if the question was clear on a couple things. First of all, with the we are talking with CEC about combining vehicle funding or vehicles with the infrastructure to be a product for eligible for the loan guarantee. And I know we've heard from fleets that sometimes maybe they don't own the land that they're parked on, so that they wouldn't be the best borrower for this situation, but there might be like a landlord that has lots of trucks that park on their property, and maybe they would need assistance to upgrade their fleet. So I was hoping any of the lenders that might have some input on this could tell us what they thought, if there needed to be some flexibility with the infrastructure versus the trucks, or if we should sort of let that be as it may come in terms of the infrastructure per truck or not. So that's the first question I have. And another question that I have for the lenders, specifically for the existing truck loan assistance program, we are committed to helping fleets comply with the truck and bus regulation, but we know that even with some of our most optimistic estimates for the demand for the program in the next year or so, as the truck and bus regulation final requirements come into play, our demand could exceed funding for that program. So because we do want to help those fleets that need to comply versus fleets that might be starting a new business or somebody making a change within their business model, I was hoping that the lenders might have some input for us on if there are ways that we might focus our eligibility to focus on those fleets that are complying with the truck and bus regulation. I know that's one element of the borrower eligibility form right now, but is there further requirements or criteria that we could set that would really focus those funds on the fleets that need it to comply? So those are my two questions that I'd be curious to hear more input from lenders if they have any opinions on that. Thank you.
Hi, Jessica. This is Howard Schiebler from Crossroads. On your first question about charging infrastructure, I think you're on to something there, because there's a lot of concern, not only, am I going to be able to put infrastructure in place like for the small fleet operator? And if not, where can I go and charge? We're actually contemplating um, buying some land and building out a charge park, because we think most of the port operators are not going to be able to put their own infrastructure in. Either they don't have the land or the means to do it. And I know that we're looking at getting some support for SoCal Edison, but the economics of the infrastructure is one element, but the cost of the electricity is a big unknown. And I don't know if there's any way to use what you're trying to do to try to nail down some kind of guaranteed rates or something, because that part of our math equation right now, as we're modeling, trying to look at the total cost of electric ownership, is a big unknown variable. So I do think it makes sense to focus, for example, on landlords or others willing to build truck charging infrastructure and supporting them in any way possible with these types of programs, but also think the actual cost of the electricity might be a factor to focus on. Thanks for the time.
Thank you, Howard. Anyone else? Or do you have any follow-up, Jessica?
Well, I could throw it out there specifically for the existing truck loan program, for the current truck loan program. How would lenders feel about us adding a criteria either to the lender or the borrower eligibility to require some element of a truck that they're replacing, whether that be a copy of their registration or some other document that would show that they're replacing a vehicle that doesn't comply with truck and bus. And also, thank you, Howard, for that, for your comments on the what you were saying about buying land and the cost of electricity for landlords. That makes a lot of sense, and that can be definitely something we look into to talk about with utilities and anybody else that might be a stakeholder with this program.
Jessica, thank you. I'm not sure that I understand your second question, though. I know under HFIB there are grants that require, the trade-in or destruction of a non-compliant truck to get a grant for a new truck. Is that what you're zeroing in on? I'm not sure I understand what you're getting at there.
Okay, let me see if I can clarify. I don't think I would be suggesting going as far as requiring proof of scrappage or destruction of the old vehicle. That can be a whole nother program within itself that I'm not proposing to add into the lender requirements here. What I am wondering about is if there's some way that the lenders could simply and straightforwardly understand and document that the fleet that they're working with is indeed in jeopardy of not complying with the truck and bus regulation. So basically it would be showing, hey, I have this truck that has a replacement requirement and I'm looking for a truck to replace it and that's what I want to finance. Versus, not having any sort of, it doesn't really matter right now. Anybody that comes to a participating lender could be considered for the program if they're purchasing the eligible equipment. But I'm wondering if there's a way to focus on the fleets that need the help to comply with the truck and bus rule versus somebody who may not have that requirement on them. Does that help, Howard?
Yeah, if I understand what you're saying, there may be some opportunity to further interview, as we do today, to try and find out their core eligibility, interview about their existing fleet, and whether there are other trucks in there that that they're going to be in need of replacing. I'm not sure what we do with that information, but I do think when they're buying a truck, we have a captive audience. So if you want to learn more, there's the possibility.
Okay. Okay. And yeah, I understand. I don't want to do anything that makes any additional administrative or bureaucratic burden. But, you know, if we do have to focus the funding, make it last longer, or focus it on the fleets that really need the most assistance, I definitely be interested in any opinions people have about how to make that as least administratively burdensome as possible.
Okay, thank you, Jessica. Yeah, that is a comment that we received, that most lenders wouldn't want more administrative burdens put on this. And regarding back to the infrastructure only loan question, we did receive one comment where a lender said they may consider it if the loan, there was a higher contribution amount for those loans. Okay, go ahead, Rochelle.
Yeah, Jessica, I think the idea of essentially saying, right, to be qualified, you would have to be replacing a truck that doesn't comply. I think at least for us, that would definitely reduce the number of CalCAP participants we would be sending over. I think a lot of the folks we have are not necessarily replacing. Sometimes they're adding to their fleet, but they want to add in a CARB compliant manner. And so I think that would inhibit our ability maybe to do as much lending as we do with newer companies that are nearer to the startup phase, but that would still want to have the CARB compliant trucks. So I would almost think maybe more it's limiting, you know, okay, how many trucks do you get, right, with CalCAP and CARB? Is it, instead of, you know, having a fleet of up to 10, is it a fleet of up to 5, or is it, hey, you can still be a fleet of up to 10, but you've only got, you know, 3 trucks you could do through CARB? Maybe looking at it that way as opposed to having it have to be a replacement.
Okay, thank you, Rochelle.
Thanks, Rochelle.
Okay. Okay. So as we mentioned, this is going to be an ongoing discussion, and we really want to try to find the best way to start the pilot program. So again, follow up with any written comments that you have. Any questions? Any more questions? Okay then. So as most of you know, you should register for CPCFA's listserv so that we can you can know what's going on here and be notified of events and meetings. And you can also follow us on Twitter. Okay. Thank you very much for joining us today, and we look forward to hearing more ideas from you and really collaborating together on getting this project off the ground. Thank you.